can you become alcohol free overnight? We've sort of covered this a lot in the sense of you are what you the only thing that you have to really do is to stop drinking alcohol, and that's the only thing that you need to focus on in the beginning. By the way, the live chat is open to everyone, to all members. There's a join button down below if you want to ask any questions live, and there's different perks depending on what level you choose. So it all helps us to go towards putting these shows on. Okay, so that first one of can you become alcohol free overnight? The simple answer is yes, and it is from that simple perspective of all you have to do is not put the alcohol into your mouth. So there's nothing complicated about it, and it's, I get so many comments about this, that it's not that simple, it's not this simple, it's much more complicated than that. And I don't understand why people have a problem with this, why it's hard to see this, that, I could tell, I've got a 6-year-old niece, and I could tell her this, that this is what you do. You don't put this into your mouth, and do you understand that? And she'd say, yeah. It's a very simple thing. What people are doing is they're confusing two different things. They're confusing the alcohol and the ongoing alcohol into the system and the habit, and they're two completely different things, right? People focus, or they have been focused on the. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, people have been focused on the long-term. I'm just going to put this down here. A bit disorganized today. People have been focused on the long-term alcohol, the long-term problem of alcohol. And every thought that we have depends on, when you're thinking about this from the perspective of quitting drinking, when you're thinking about becoming somebody different, which is what the ultimate goal is, I think for most people, they don't think about it that way. They look at it like they want to get alcohol out of their lives, and once they do that, then the problem is gone. And the problem of alcohol is gone, but the problems that have been caused by the alcohol, the physical problems are probably going to die away. That's there's an issue of you stop the alcohol and then things will slowly get better in a certain sense, but in another way they won't, because you've got to work on this, from a different perspective, if you get what I mean. We're fed a line from society, from certain members of society, but you have to think that every thought that you have is dependent not only on the selection of that thought within your head, but the interpretation as well, right? So within your interpretations, there are different meanings. What I mean by a certain way of speaking is not going to be the same thing as what you mean. My interpretations are going to be different. My assumptions are going to be different. What I assume is going to happen as a result of what I do now, it could be very similar, but they're going to be different. The same thing with your expectations, same thing with your value judgments. And this goes for everyone. It's not just you or I, it's everybody. It's the people who are stopping drinking alcohol, the people who are creating, who are making the alcohol, the people who are the doctors and the nurses and the professors and judges and everybody is, these are basic rules of thinking. So there are just way too many ideas out there in order to, for us to understand things completely. So what we do is we look for shortcuts, and we look for ways that we can expedite the process of understanding. And we also have biases, right? The way that we want to see the world, the way that we wish the world would be. And if somebody tells you a certain thing and it matches one of your biases, if it matches the way that you want the world to be, then you're going to accept that much more readily than if it goes against your biases. Do you get what I mean? So this is the problem with, when people look, behavior changes is a tough thing to do. It's separate the two things out. Stop drinking alcohol. Don't put the alcohol into your mouth. That's one thing, right? And once you've done that, you've achieved that goal of stopping drinking alcohol. It is what it says on the tin. But to get to the stage where you don't want to drink again, where you're changing your life to an extent that you're never going to drink again, that's a different kettle of fish. That's behavior change, and that's the tough part. It takes a lot of thinking, it takes a lot of doing, and this thinking and doing requires a lot of energy above and beyond what you would normally expend. Think about this: if you've ever tried to lose weight, or if you've ever tried to gain weight, it's the same basic principle of basal metabolism. So everyone's got a certain amount of calories that they need in their body in order to function. Just to not do anything else but live, breathe, get up and walk about, go to the jacks, go to the kitchen, cook some food, all those kind of things. That's your basal metabolism. And then what you add on top of that, going out for a run, going to work, going to the gym, these are all extra calories that you need. This is extra energy that you're burning. And it's exactly the same thing here. You've got a consistent energy that you need to get you through the day. This is what habits are. They're designed so that you don't have to think, you don't have to expend the energy on thinking about the habit. You just do it. It becomes a part of your process, your everyday process, right? And it's so when you change, you need more energy. Behavior change is not only tough, it's complicated. Behavior change can involve failure, and it often involves failure. It involves not necessarily going back to drinking alcohol again. I'm not talking about that kind of failure, but it involves a certain amount of failure as you're moving forwards. But that's how we learn. You fail, you think about it, you reiterate things, and you try things again. And some people can, when you're coming off a habit like drinking, it can make you very tender, very sensitive, I should say, that kind of thing, with low self-esteem, low self-confidence. And it's easy to convince somebody in that state of mind that it's not them, that it's the alcohol that's the problem, and that it's the alcohol that's the problem all the way through, because then it's it's an easy state to say, well, like, what's the point in doing the work? I don't need to do it. All I have to do is sit back and just say, well, yeah, this is me. I'm an alcoholic. But it's a cop-out. It's like blaming your mother for your shortcomings throughout your life. Do you get what I mean? There's a lot of people who go back to their childhood and they say, well, it was the way that I was brought up, or it was the way that I was taught. Blaming things that happened 2 years ago or 500 years ago. When I was in Ireland, growing up in Ireland, there was a lot of people who blamed their own difficulties on things that had happened 400 or 500 years ago, and there's people nowadays that are doing it. Have a look around you and you'll see it everywhere. It's deflecting away from the real problems, because they can't deal with the real problems. They don't have the abilities to deal with the real problems. But this is all about, again, going against choices and trade-offs. If you choose to go down that road, and I'm not saying that, some people, they choose to go down that road because they don't know any other way. And that's the difficulties. They don't know how to take that next step, right? And hopefully these videos are going to help you to take that next step up, because, it's only through this kind of stuff. It's only through working your way through your own problems, first sort of saying, well, I've got these problems, and then saying to yourself, I can do this, slowly but surely, but I can do this. But that's the first part anyway.